Hey, happy Friday. How amazing was the weather today? I hope you got to catch some sunshine and I hope you've had an amazing day today. It's Nina Lemtier here, and I just wanted to share with you something that, quite frankly, really inspired me. And I was talking with a friend of mine, and she was feeling a bit down. She was stuck, stuck like we've all been stuck at some point in our lives. And guilt is something that I think we've all experienced. And funnily enough, I spoke to her before I jumped on this training call, and what was being discussed was this topic, guilt. And have you ever, experienced guilt and it's really affected you? You've really kind of had to take time out. Maybe you've had to not go into work, or maybe you've not been able to kind of deal with the kids. You've been able to get help and you just lock yourself away in the room. We all struggle with guilt in different ways. We deal with it in different ways. And what I got from the training today was how practical you can be in dealing with it. So, guilt in its own self is absolutely useless. It does us no good. But yet we obviously have to go through it because it's a consequence of an action, or our action in most cases. So what I would like to remind you about is 90% of success is showing up and doing it with excellence. You are successful showing up as a mum every day. You are successful, showing up as an employee every day in your job. That is successful. Just the fact that you showed up. You are successful showing up in your business every day. Whatever business you're running, you are successful just by showing up. So congratulate yourself, pat yourself on the back, and recognize that you have achieved great success simply just by not giving up and showing up. So this feeling of guilt. Now, the thing with guilt is that it quickly turns into self-pity. And I heard on this training from a really amazing lady. Her name is Jessica. And she said that she learned from her dad, who was a very successful entrepreneur and businessman, that he actually identified self-pity to be the most useless emotion that you can possess. Okay, it's absolutely useless to us. Now, it's easily done, isn't it? We can easily go into a pity party and literally drag it for a couple of days, a week even, maybe sometimes even longer. Now, the problem with that is that it will completely bring you down. You will not be able to see the positives. You are just completely in a downer. Now, what would you do when you're in a downer? You could eat bad foods, decide to spend lots of money on frivolous shopping that doesn't make you feel any better, but it's very temporary, good feeling. You think, what's the point? What's the point bothering to exercise? What's the point bothering to do my hair? What's the point? You get really negative. We all deal with it in different ways, isn't it? Now, it's okay to feel guilty. It's actually normal. If you have an outcome that you're not happy about, that you're not comfortable about, and you wish you could go back in time and change things, it's okay. But it's how we deal with it. That is what I learned today. It's how we deal with it. Now, recognize why it happened. I've got a couple of tips for you, practical tips for you to literally implement if you are right now feeling guilty, or you tend to struggle with feeling guilty in general. So recognize why it happened. Why did you make the decision that you made or you didn't make to be feeling guilty, to be in a guilty state? And what this will do, it will allow you to take a step back, so your perspective will change, and it will remove you from an emotional state to a logical state. So you're not emotionally looking at the situation anymore, you're logically looking at the situation. So you've stepped out of the box, okay? And you're looking at it in a way that, how can I change this in the future? How can I stop this situation from happening? So this situation that you feel guilty about, how can you logically stop it? So identify 2 ways. 2 is such an easy number, it's not too many, it's not too, it's not too little, and it's just a great number. So identify 2 ways that you're going to make sure it doesn't happen again, okay? Or you at least reduce the rate at which it happens. So the reason why we feel guilty, oftentimes it's because we can't go back in time and change things. We can't fix it. And that niggles at us. It bothers us that we can't go back in time and change it. And also, we keep reliving the situation that we're guilty about. We're not letting it go. And that's what spirals us down into this self-pity state, because you're not letting it go. But you have to accept that what's in the past is in the past. You can't change it. But what you can change is the future and how you're going to deal with this situation you're in right now. So identify 2 ways, and these will be things that you're practically going to change to stop you from being in the situation that you're in. Now, for example, let's take, I don't know, a diet that you might happen to be on, that you've effortlessly, in a breathtakingly way, you're eating the wrong foods. You've completely fallen off the bandwagon. You've got Just Eat, you've got all the different eats coming to your house, and you are doing a serious pig out. So how can we stop this from happening? A practical step would be, number 1, to delete all those apps from your phone, block the emails, and don't have the apps on your phone so it's not accessible. So you can't just easily tap and tap and tap and have this food that's not good for you being delivered right to your door. So that's a practical step that you could take, to stop yourself from making that action that would lead to you feeling guilty in that respect. There could be lots of practical ways, but it's really interesting because the moment you start thinking logically, and you remove yourself from being emotional, you tend to be able to, look at it differently. So I do have more steps and more tips and how you can really take control over guilt if it has really gotten on top of you. We're all human. We're not in ideal situations right now. Things can be a lot more overwhelming. Feel free to send me a message and I will happily type all my notes up and get them over to you with some other resources that are really, really helpful, just to be able to get you being productive again in whatever spectrum that may be, being a better wife, being a better mum, being a better teacher, whatever. It's great to be able to acknowledge that we all go through situations of guilt, but we have to deal with them in a better way in order to get better at dealing with it, because of course we're always going to be faced with this situation because we're not perfect. So I thought I would share that. I hope you have a fabulous evening. Thank you so much for listening and take care. Bye.